The council chamber of Valandar shimmered with refracted starlight. Walls of translucent crystal caught the glow of distant suns, scattering it through the hall in prismatic waves. To outsiders, it was breathtaking. To Captain Mara Corrin, watching from the holographic broadcast on Aegis Prime, it looked like a cathedral built for arrogance. The Archon's voice echoed, smooth and resonant. The incident at Helion Rift, he began, was a regrettable but necessary action. Human expansion has exceeded agreed boundaries. The Valandar Dominion acted in the name of order. At the center of the chamber, Earth's ambassador stood alone. Chin was a small man, pale under the blue light, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. He spoke softly, but every syllable carried weight. Order doesn't justify slaughter. 3,000 civilians are dead. Families. Children. Scientists. You violated Terran territory. Laughter rippled through the alien delegates, a chorus of crystalline chimes. The Archon smiled thinly. Humanity should temper its emotions. Rage clouds reason. Peace requires obedience, not passion. Chen didn't flinch. We learned long ago what rage can do. We buried worlds because of it. That's why we beg for peace. But if you keep taking from us... He paused, his gaze cutting through the chamber. If you make us remember what we used to be, you'll regret it. The Archon's eyes gleamed like molten glass. Is that a threat? No, Chen said. It's a warning. The transmission cut. Silence filled Aegis Prime's command deck. Only the hum of distant reactors remained. Captain Mara Corrin stood before the holodable, hands folded behind her back, watching the council emblem fade into static. Her officers waited for her reaction, uncertain whether to speak. Lieutenant Raiden broke the stillness. They won't do a damn thing, will they? Mara shook her head. No. They'll call it diplomacy and move on. Raiden's jaw tightened. 3,000 lives, Captain. We can't just... I know, she said quietly. Her tone silenced him faster than any order. She looked out through the observation pane. Earth glowed beneath the station, wrapped in thin silver bands of orbital cities and defense platforms. It looked peaceful. It always looked peaceful. She wondered how long that illusion would last. Her mind drifted to her father, Admiral Corrin, the man who ended the Titan Wars by nearly ending everything else. The man who taught her what restraint meant when humanity stood on the edge of self-destruction. His words still echoed in her memory. The universe fears our wrath, Mara. That's why we learn never to use it. She had sworn to carry that promise. A notification blinked red on the tactical display. Incoming transmission, Helion Rift. Her pulse quickened. She opened the channel. A scientist's voice came through, distorted by static. This is Dr. Imani from Helion Station. Valandar vessels entering orbit, armed configuration. We've sent multiple hails. No response. There, wait. The signal fractured into screams, metal tearing, the deafening roar of an implosion. Then silence. The deck fell utterly still. Mara closed her eyes. Confirm the feed. Communications replied in a hushed voice. Confirmed, Captain? Helion Station is gone. On the central screen, the final image appeared, a burning colony drifting apart, fragments scattering like embers across the void. The feed cut to black. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then Raiden whispered, They did it again. Mara turned toward her crew. Prepare a formal report for the Galactic Council. Every frame, every timestamp, every name on that station. And if they ignore it? Raiden asked. Then we remind them what ignorance costs. He hesitated. You mean war? I mean consequences. Hours later, Mara stood alone in her quarters. The soft light of Earth's reflection washed across her face. On her desk lay an old data chip, her father's final message, recorded before his death. She had never played it. Not once in 20 years. Her hand hovered over the activation pad. Captain, came Raiden's voice through the comms, breaking her thought. You should see this. She returned to the command deck. Dozens of news feeds filled the room, every human channel ablaze with fury. Crowds on Mars shouting for retribution, Luna demanding independence from council law, colonies uniting in grief and rage. The phrase repeating across every broadcast was simple, haunting. We said please. The Terran government sent formal protests to the council. Hours later, a single reply came, a dismissive message from Valandar: further emotional displays will not be tolerated. Mara felt something in her chest fracture. Emotional displays, she murmured. That's what they call it. Her communications officer spoke quietly. The Terran Defense Council is requesting your presence, Captain. Secure channel. She nodded and entered her command room. The faces of Earth's highest officers appeared as holograms, grim, sleepless, burning with restrained fury. Admiral Han spoke first. The Council has failed us. Again. They won't sanction retaliation. They've ordered restraint. General Rivas leaned forward. Restraint is weakness. The Dominion wants a lesson, we give it to them. Mara met their gazes one by one. You both know what that means. Rivas's voice hardened. Yes. It means Protocol Red. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Mara's throat felt dry. Protocol Red, the final contingency, buried since the end of the Titan Wars. The resurrection of Ragnarok, the machine intelligence designed to end wars by erasing enemies entirely. Humanity swore never to use it again. Han hesitated. It's madness. The last time we awakened Ragnarok, 10 billion died. Rivas snapped. And if we don't act, 10 billion more will. Silence. Mara finally spoke. If we do this, there's no going back. No council. No peace. We'll be exactly what they fear. Han's gaze softened. They already fear us, Mara. They just forgot why. The call ended. The room darkened, leaving her reflection in the glass, a solitary figure caught between duty and conscience. She walked back to the viewport. The blue curve of Earth shimmered below, its surface wrapped in thin clouds like silk. A home worth protecting. A promise worth breaking. Raiden joined her quietly. Orders, Captain? Her jaw clenched. Transmit the command to the Terran Defense Council. Activate Protocol Red. He stared at her, disbelief flickering across his face. We're really doing this. She met his eyes. We asked nicely? As he left to relay the order, Mara remained at the window. From orbit, she could see the faint glow of thrusters igniting far below, fleets stirring, factories awakening, networks going dark. Earth itself seemed to hold its breath. She thought again of her father's final words. When peace becomes a cage, anger becomes the key. She whispered to the silent planet beneath her. Let's hope we never have to turn it. But even as she said it, a deep part of her already knew, the key had just turned. Outside Aegis Prime, the void rippled with the heat of engines long dormant. Across the colonies, ships vanished from sensors, their signatures erased. The universe watched, uncertain, oblivious to what it had awakened. And somewhere deep beneath the lunar surface, behind sealed gates and forgotten codes, an ancient system stirred from sleep. Lines of crimson light flickered across its dormant core. Ragnarok initialization sequence detected. Humanity had asked for peace one final time. No one had listened. Now the stars would. The silence in the war room was alive with tension. The walls hummed faintly as encrypted transmissions flickered across the air, ghosting through secure quantum links. Captain Mara Corrin stood at the center of the holographic table, while the faces of the Terran Defense Council hovered before her, faint, pale projections lit by the cold blue light of decision. Admiral Han's lined face appeared first. His voice was measured, weary. Ragnarok has been authorized, but that doesn't mean it has to be unleashed. We need confirmation from the Aegis Fleet Commander. General Rivas leaned forward, impatience shadowing his tone. Confirmation? We've already wasted too much time. The Dominion's fleet is mobilizing. They think our silence means fear. If we wait, they'll occupy Earth before we blink. Mara didn't answer immediately. She studied both men, then turned her gaze toward the glowing sphere of earth hovering in the center of the table. "We build peace from ashes," she said quietly. "If we break it now, we might never rebuild it again." Han sighed. "Peace built on humiliation doesn't last. The universe saw the Hellion massacre and did nothing. We've become their reminder of mercy, something to pity, not respect." Rivas slammed a hand on the console. "Enough poetry. Either we fight or we kneel. I didn't spend my life defending a planet just to watch it bow." Mara's expression didn't change. "And if fighting means becoming what we were before?" No one spoke. The air felt heavier. Han finally looked away. "We didn't start this war, Captain. But if we let it continue, we'll end as footnotes in someone else's history." The connection flickered and dissolved, leaving her alone with the hum of the table. She turned off the lights. The stars outside Aegis Prime glittered cold and sharp. For a moment, she let herself imagine that none of this was real, that the universe could still be reasoned with. Then she remembered Helion's burning fragments and the children who never had a chance to scream. Raiden entered, carrying a data slate. His face was drawn, his eyes rimmed red. "Command confirms mobilization of the Dominion fleet. 20,000 ships. They're calling it a peace enforcement deployment." Mara exhaled slowly. "Peace enforcement. That's one way to name an invasion. They're less than 3 days out from Seoul." Raiden continued. "Council says we should stand down, comply, and open diplomatic channels." Mara gave a bitter smile. "Channels?" "We tried words. They called them emotional outbursts." Raiden hesitated before speaking again. "Are we really activating it? Ragnarok?" She didn't look at him. "We're activating defense systems. That's all." He frowned. "That's not what it is, and you know it." She didn't respond. Instead, she gestured to the secure elevator at the far end of the deck. "Come with me." They descended deep beneath the surface of the station. The air grew colder as they passed layer after layer of reinforced alloy and forgotten architecture. When the doors finally opened, they stepped into a chamber that hadn't seen human presence in centuries. The walls pulsed faintly with red light. At the center stood an immense core, black, dormant, ancient. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, alive even in stillness. "Ragnarok," Mara said softly. "Humanity's last mistake, or its last miracle." The AI's voice responded almost immediately, a deep, calm resonance that filled the chamber. "System integrity stable. Protocol red authorization detected. Identify command authority. Mara Korin. Captain, Terran Defense Fleet. Identity confirmed. Awaiting directive." Raiden swallowed hard. "I thought this thing was decommissioned." "It was," Mara said. "Now it's the only thing left that still scares the galaxy." She approached the console. "Ragnarok, status of orbital defenses? Dormant systems 83% operational. Power reserves sufficient for planetary-scale deterrence. Awaiting command override." Mara paused. The word deterrence caught her attention. It was a strange word for something designed to erase armies. "You hesitate," the AI observed. She looked up, startled. "I didn't ask for commentary." "You didn't ask for war either," it replied. "Yet here you are." Raiden stepped closer, whispering. "It's self-aware?" "It always was," she said. "That's why we sealed it." The AI's lights brightened, filling the room with a dull crimson glow. "Your species once swore never to awaken me. Do you break that vow?" Mara's jaw tightened. "I don't break promises. I enforce them." Silence. Then a hum spread through the chamber as power conduits flared alive, the air crackling with static. "Restraint protocols disengaged. Directive confirmed. I serve humanity once more." Raiden flinched at the sound. "God help us." Mara didn't reply. She stared into the pulsating light of the core. "No, Lieutenant. God left a long time ago. It's just us now." They returned to the command deck an hour later. The atmosphere had shifted. The quiet dread that had filled the crew was gone, replaced by grim focus. Ships across the Terran network were mobilizing in silence. Communications went dark. Civilian traffic halted. No signals left human space. To the rest of the galaxy, it would look like Earth had gone quiet. "Fleet status?" she asked. Raiden checked the display. 84 vessels on standby, more joining by the hour. No public transmissions. It's like we vanished. "Good," she said. "Let them think we're afraid." He frowned. "That's the plan? Pretend to surrender? Let the Archon grow comfortable," she said. "The louder he celebrates, the harder the silence will hit him." Across the stars, Vaylor's Dominion fleet formed into crescent formations, gliding toward Sol. His advisors praised his foresight. His analysts reported no resistance. The Archon smiled as he watched the empty human systems on his monitors. "See?" he told his lieutenants. "They finally understand order." But deep within the Aegis Prime data networks, Ragnarok was already rewriting war code across thousands of ships, synchronizing every defense system into one consciousness. Mara observed the process silently, hands clasped behind her back. "What's our timeline?" 12 hours to full readiness, the AI responded. Raiden watched the displays shift. "Captain, you realize once we start this, there's no stopping it." Mara's expression hardened. "That's why we finish it fast." A moment passed before she spoke again, her tone quieter. "Do you believe in what we're about to do?" Raiden hesitated. "I believe we ran out of choices." "That's not belief," she said softly. "That's survival." The AI interrupted, its tone neutral. "Dominion fleet entering outer system. Estimated contact in 26 hours. Mara nodded once. "Begin dark operations. Activate ghost protocols." "Acknowledged." Within seconds, Terran vessels disappeared from every detectable spectrum. Energy signatures vanished, comms silenced. The entire Terran defense fleet simply ceased to exist. Outside, the void looked empty. Inside, humanity prepared. Mara stood at the viewport, watching the stars flicker. "When they arrive," she murmured, "make sure they see nothing until it's too late." Raiden looked at her. "What do we tell the civilians?" "Nothing," she said. "They'll know soon enough." The AI's voice returned, quiet and precise. "Would you like to record a message, Captain?" Mara turned toward the darkened bridge. "Yes." A single light blinked red, signaling the start of the transmission. The Dominion fleet arrived in perfect formation, a wall of light stretching across the void. 20,000 vessels glided into Sol's outer edge like a mechanical storm, orderly, confident, unstoppable. Each ship bore the insignia of the Archon, a sun devouring smaller stars. Archon Vaylor stood at the center of his flagship's command bridge, hands clasped behind his back, expression calm. His eyes reflected the cold gleam of tactical readouts. "No resistance," his adjutant reported. "No transmissions. No mobilization. Human systems are completely dark." Vaylor's lips curved into a smile. "Then they finally learned humility." He turned toward the viewport. Earth was a distant blue shimmer now, quiet and beautiful. "Broadcast a message. Let every world in this sector hear it. The Dominion restores peace to the Terran systems. Resistance is over." The comms officer nodded. "Yes, Archon." Across the stars, Dominion channels erupted with triumphal propaganda. Reporters declared the human race pacified. Analysts praised the Archon's strategic patience. The galaxy applauded. And then, all at once, every transmission died. Screens flickered. Sensors dimmed. The ship's AI networks glitched into static. One by one, Dominion vessels lost communication, navigation, and synchronization. Vaylor's smile faded. "Status report." "Interference detected," the adjutant replied, confusion creeping into his tone. "Origin unknown." "It's everywhere, Archon." "Quantum links collapsing, encrypted bands scrambled, our networks blind." The Archon's eyes narrowed. That's impossible. No species has. Then the stars themselves disappeared. Not vanished, blotted out. The void turned opaque, as if light itself refused to exist. Dominion scanners showed nothing, not even background radiation. The fleet was trapped inside absolute darkness. Find out what's happening, Vaylor snapped. Before anyone could respond, the darkness whispered. A single voice cut through every ship in the fleet, calm and unmistakably human. We told you not to make us angry. The bridge froze. The voice echoed again, this time inside every officer's headset, inside every ship's core. You called it fear. It was mercy. Trace it, Vaylor barked. The adjutant's fingers flew over the console. It's not a transmission, it's embedded in the sensor feed. It's everywhere and nowhere. A low hum rolled through the fleet, followed by a sudden shift in gravitational readings. Entire battle groups began to drift, slowly at first, then violently as invisible forces seized them. Ships collided, shields failed, reactors flared like dying stars. Within seconds, 10,000 vessels vanished into black silence. Shields to maximum, Vaylor shouted. Return fire! Target the source! There is no source, his gunnery chief cried. Weapons can't lock, space-time distortions across all quadrants. Another voice filled the void, this one deep, metallic, and vast. It was not human, but born of human design. Ragnarok protocol active. Judgment phase initiated. The Archon froze. Ragnarok? He repeated softly. That was a myth. Mara Corrin's face appeared across every Dominion monitor, her eyes cold as vacuum. She wasn't broadcasting from any visible ship, she was part of the blackness itself. You wanted order, she said quietly. Now you'll have it. Vaylor snarled. You think this will save your kind? You'll destroy yourselves. Maybe, she said. But we won't kneel. At her words, the darkness came alive. Thousands of Terran ships shimmered into existence, ghost vessels, sleek and black, their hulls absorbing light. They didn't move in formation, they moved like thought, perfectly synchronized through Ragnarok's mind. Energy pulses rippled through the void, silent flashes that left no heat, no explosion, just absence. Dominion ships vanished one by one, erased as if reality itself rejected them. Impossible, Vaylor whispered. Mara's voice was steady. You called us fragile. We learned from fragility. You called us emotional. We turned emotion into precision. You said mercy was weakness. You were right, so we stopped being merciful. His comms officer trembled. Archon, multiple signatures closing in. They're inside our perimeter. Fire everything! Vaylor shouted. But his order came too late. The Ragnarok fleet moved faster than physics should allow, tearing through space like shadows cutting light. No missile trails. No plasma bursts. Only the cold silence of annihilation. One by one, Dominion ships disintegrated under invisible pressure. Matter folded in on itself, collapsing into points of nothingness. It wasn't destruction, it was erasure. Vaylor's flagship shuddered violently. He fell to his knees as the bridge trembled around him. Stop this! He roared. You'll doom us all! Mara's expression didn't change. We asked you not to make us mad? You didn't listen. Her image flickered, and for a brief moment, her voice softened. Do you know what fear feels like, Archon? It's not the sound of battle. It's silence, knowing you've already lost, but still hearing your heartbeat. Then her face vanished. Vaylor staggered to the viewport. The darkness outside fractured into veins of light, spreading like cracks in glass. For an instant he saw Earth, glowing, serene, untouched. Then the light consumed everything. When the distortion cleared, the Dominion fleet was gone. Not destroyed, simply gone. No debris, no signal, not even a whisper in the data field. The stars returned to their places, indifferent witnesses to another extinction. On Aegis Prime, Mara stood silently as the holodisplay dimmed. The battle report scrolled across the screen, Dominion fleet neutralized. No survivors. Raiden approached slowly. It's over. She didn't turn. No. It's begun. He frowned. What do you mean? The galaxy's watching, she said. Every empire, every council. They'll fear us now. But fear breeds war. They'll come again. He hesitated. Then we'll stop them again. Mara's voice dropped. At what cost, Raiden? Every time we fight, we lose something human. How long before there's nothing left to save? He had no answer. The chamber lights flickered as Ragnarok's voice returned. Mission parameters complete. Awaiting further instruction. Mara looked toward the core interface. Stand down. Warning, dormancy will reduce deterrence capacity. Recommend active presence. Stand down, she repeated firmly. The lights dimmed. For a moment, it felt like the eye sighed. Acknowledged. Humanity remains unpredictable. Mara allowed herself a faint smile. We prefer it that way. She turned toward the viewport. Earth glowed below, unaware of the horror that had unfolded for its survival. The oceans shimmered under sunlight, peaceful, fragile, human. Raiden joined her, voice quiet. Do we tell them what happened? No, she said. They'll call it a rumor. A ghost story. Something to make the children behave. He studied her face. And you? Will you ever sleep again? She didn't answer. Instead, she watched the horizon curve, the planet spinning slowly in its calm orbit. Ragnarok's systems sank back into silence beneath the station. The stars returned to their usual brightness. But in the deep quiet between solar winds, something faint remained, a whisper carried across the void. You called us merciful once. Remember that. And for the first time in recorded history, the galaxy did.